Good evening, everyone. I'm Sophie Erber.
And I'm Steve Asplin. Tonight on your TV6 Early News, Cognition Brewing Company versus the Mather Inn. That case wraps up today in a landlord dispute between the two. Find out who won the legal battle tonight.
A trial date is set for the former enemy professor charged with kidnapping and sexual assault. We have the latest on the case.
Michigan Tech University tonight is at the helm of the study on the Line 5 pipeline, researching the worst case scenario if a spill occurred. We'll have the details.
Hancock High School tonight has a new principal in charge, and he also has new plans for the school. We have the details on what programs he's adding.
And keeping kids warm, that's the ongoing drive to collect winter clothing for UP children. How you can help, coming up.
From Weather Center 6, I'm meteorologist Carl Bonak. We have a brief cool spell. I say brief because it will be warming up again. We'll talk about that and the rain that's ongoing in parts of the UP next.
And with TV6 Sports, I'm Seth Wells. Coming up in sports, we have Matthew Stafford and Golden Tate giving their thoughts on playing on Monday night before their Monday night matchup against the New York Giants. We'll have all that and more coming up.
And you'll meet the Escanaba man who spent 3 decades as a merchant marine in this week's Upside Report.
That's right, those stories and much more tonight on your TV6 Early News right now.
From Upper Michigan's news source, this is your TV6 Early News.
Hello, everyone. The verdict is in for the lawsuit between the Mather Inn and Cognition Brewing Company in Ishpeming.
Yeah, the two parties had an ongoing dispute over payments they owed each other. TV6's Harry Lee reports.
It started with a $6,700 rent payment and a $4,700 payment for electrical work. Cognition Brewery and Mather Inn were going to exchange checks in late January this year. But that exchange never happened, and Mather Inn took Cognition Brewery to court over non-payment. The trial began in July, and today, Judge Carl A. Weber delivered his decision in favor of Cognition.
So many emotions happening right now. Gratitude for the judge's decision, of course. Huge sense of relief, and a great sense of optimism looking forward.
Judge Weber ruled Cognition had made a good faith effort to pay their rent and thus was never in default of their lease. That means Cognition won't have to pay the nearly $38,000 Mather Inn charged in interest, late fees, and other alleged debts. Friends and supporters congratulated Clancy after the decision was read.
The amount of support I've gotten from the entire community, the entire area, the brewing community across the state has just been overwhelming.
Mather Inn co-founder Robin Baird left the courtroom without making any comment. Clancy has a separate case moving through the Marquette County Circuit Court, alleging Mather Inn violated Michigan anti-lockout laws when they piled snow in front of Cognition's entrance in early February. He says he hopes to remain at Cognition's current location, where he's already invested $250,000 in improvements. Harry Lee, TV6 News, Marquette.
Assault with intent to murder is just one of the many charges facing former Northern Michigan University professor Amber Suggett. Today, a trial date was set for the 33-year-old Marquette woman. Suggett is also accused of kidnapping, home invasion in the first degree, intent to commit sexual assault, and 4 counts of felony firearms. According to police, Suggett was arrested back in February after an altercation on the 100 block of Fair Street. That led to a firearm being discharged in the home. No one was injured at the time. Suggett's pretrial is set for October 16th, and a trial is set for February 26th.
It's been recommended Michigan Tech be in charge of a risk analysis for the 2 oil pipelines running under the Straits of Mackinac. If the state agrees with the recommendation, Michigan Tech would collaborate with other state universities to analyze the environmental and economic impacts of a worst-case scenario spill. The director of Michigan Tech's Great Lakes Research Center says Tech would lead the process because of their extensive knowledge of the Straits of Mackinac and its complex flows. We have more information on our website at uppermichigansource.com.
Police tonight have identified the Negaunee man who died in an ATV crash over the weekend. 56-year-old Gregory James Labont was driving on a rock barrier when his ATV overturned, landing on top of him. It happened north of Nokamenon Trailhead. That's near Forestville Road in Marquette Township. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators believe the crash happened late Friday night. He was discovered by a lone mountain biker just after noon on Saturday. A candidate for representative of the 109th State House District spoke at the Staybridge Suites in Marquette today.
Rich Rossway talked about how he plans to work across the aisle, bring jobs to the Upper Peninsula, and end entitlements. Rossway was joined by Senator Tom Casperson and former 108th Representative Ed McBroom. Casperson and McBroom spoke highly of Rossway's character and his ability to lead.
And one thing I've learned in working on the school board, we can all find common ground. We can always find something that we can all believe in. And I think that's really what makes Yoopers really unique, that we can all identify with why we live here and the type of people we are too.
Running against Rossway as a Democrat is Marquette City Commissioner Sarah Tom. The general election will take place Tuesday, November 7th.
Bessemer, Sault Ste. Marie, and 2 downtown communities received help from the state today concerning election issues. Governor Rick Snyder is signing the legislation allowing communities to fix ballots where candidates missed the state filing deadline because of incorrect information from local clerks. Now, the measure extends the filing deadline for city office elections in 2017, ensuring mayoral and city council candidates will be on the ballot. Under that legislation, clerks who give out erroneous dates would be required to undergo training, and their municipalities are subject to fines.
Many high school students are making their choices for where they plan to continue their education, but paying for that education is becoming more difficult. A state agency called My Student Aid is making several stops across the UP. TV6's Escanaba Bureau reporter Mark Cowman has the story.
Picking what college to go to is stressful enough, but figuring out how to pay for it is even worse.
It's definitely the most stressful part, I'd say. I'm not going to decide on any colleges until I can see the final total of it all.
And counselors who deal with it year after year agree.
It is. It really is. Sometimes they're not really aware of it, but we make them aware of the financial aid process and that, yes, somebody has to pay for the college and their schooling. And parents as well as the students need to be educated about it.
That is where a service called My Student Aid can become the college-bound student's best friend.
We're all about making college accessible, affordable, and achievable.
To help them help students, they have a very extensive website.
We have a database of local Michigan scholarships. If a student takes less than 5 minutes to complete this, we'll send that student out a list of local scholarship opportunities that student can apply for.
Another thing they can help with is something that many students overlook.
Not enough students apply for scholarship opportunities. They may be under the mistaken impression that they're not scholarship worthy. Maybe they don't know how to even start the process. There are so many scholarships out there for our Michigan students. We want to help them identify all the sources of funding that they're available for.
Along with their seriously helpful website, Ingrid wanted me to point out that they have a music video all about student aid on their site. That's worth checking it out all on its own. For information on My Student Aid and their upcoming stops in the UP, check out our website at uppermichigansource.com. Mark Cowman reporting for TV6 News, Menominee.
Hancock has a new high school principal tonight.
And he's looking to expand community involvement and their curriculum there. Ezekiel Ohan hopes to increase feedback from parents with upcoming programs like Mother Mondays and Father Fridays. He also plans to add a variety of instruction and classes offered there.
The instruction delivery is compliant, it's rigorous, and it's relative. Adding a little flair to it, we may be talking about AP really branching out as well as being the academic point. Want to go vocational ed.
Now, the new principal, Ohan, chose Hancock because he felt his skills matched what that school was looking for at the time. He comes to Hancock this year after 15 years as a teacher, and he's also been an administrator in downstate Michigan.
Well, time for your first check on weather, and it was a kind of a hazy day, but not too bad.
A little bit on the chilly side, especially since we've been spoiled with summer weather.
Yeah.
Right, Carl?
Right. In fact, temperatures, well, they're cool. They were cool this morning. For instance, at Baraga Plains, only 31, 32 degrees at Doe Lake, and 32 degrees at our favorite cold spot in the eastern UP, Spinsitch Lake. We're expecting things to warm up. In fact, here's a little preview. We expect to get back up into the 70s, maybe even some 80s. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the showers that are ongoing now over the western UP coming up.
All right, thanks a lot, Carl.
Still to come tonight on your TV6 Early News, you'll meet our newest member of the Upside. He spent 30 years as a merchant marine, and now he's making a difference at Upper Michigan. Find out how when we come back.
And later, Project Keep Kids Warm. It's the effort to provide winter clothes for UP children. How you can help them later in the newscast.
You're watching your TV6 Early News with Sophie Erber, Steve Asplund, Chief Meteorologist Carl Bonak, and Sports Director Mike Ludlam.
Harold Bud Irving of Escanaba spent 30 years in the Merchant Marine on the Great Lakes.
When he retired, he became a volunteer driver. Bud was providing transportation to medical appointments first for the VA in Iron Mountain, and then starting in 1998 for the Upper Peninsula Health Plan. He's logged many hours and miles, of course, and recently retired along with his service dog Choppers. You'll meet them both in tonight's Upside.
TV6 has a long history of recognizing those who give back to their community.
Bud Irving and his service dog Choppers are an inseparable pair and are well known in Delta County. Prior to Choppers, there was Chubbers, Bud's first service dog. Bud's dedication volunteering to provide transportation to medical appointments to veterans and patients have earned him numerous recognitions, including the Governor's Service Award. Bud has learned over the years of the importance of having his service dog at his side to help comfort those he is providing rides to, and on occasion patients at the hospitals they visit.
At Marquette General recently, now there was a little kid, 6 years old, going in for surgery. And the mother and dad was in the room, and they could not stop that kid from crying. They was waiting for the nurse to come and get the kid. Me and Chop got off on the 5th floor. All the way down that hallway, you could hear that kid hollering and screaming. The nurse asked me to take him in there. I took Chop in there and he put his 2 paws up on the mattress. That kid forgot all about that surgery. Was that ever nice? And when I left there, then I gave a picture of Choppers to this little kid. And he held it up like this. He said, "Thank you very much." And the parents sent me the nicest card, thank you card in mail, for the work he did.
We would like to thank Bud Irving for his years of service as a volunteer driver, and his service dog Choppers for giving comfort to all those they have provided rides to. And that is why they are this week's Upsider, for making a difference to the people of Upper Michigan.
If you would like to nominate an individual or group to be featured on The Upside, email your nominee information to theupside@wluctv6.com.
What a great dog Choppers is.
I know, that's a cute name too.
Yeah. And Not bad at all. Well, your weather outlook is on the way, and it's looking like we'll hold on to our summer-like weather a little longer. Carl has the details in your forecast next.
But first, on Wall Street, bank and industrial stocks led the market to a higher close. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 63 points today. The Nasdaq gained 6. Gold prices down $14, closing at $1,206 an ounce, and crude oil prices up 2 cents, finishing at $49.91 a barrel. We'll be right back.
Well, you may have noticed increasing cloudiness, at least over the western half of upper Michigan. Plenty of sun in the east all day long, and some showers have moved up from the southwest. It looks pretty serious. However, at least at Ironwood, also at Land O'Lakes to the south in Wisconsin, only about 1/10 of an inch of rain so far. Here's the big picture. We still have a west or west-southwest flow aloft. That's why while we cooled off and did get down close to freezing because of clear skies, a little or no wind and dry air, the really chilly, unsettled weather remains back to the west, where the trough is forecast to re-amplify. That means it'll be stormy and cold out west with snow in the higher elevations again of the Rockies, while we warm up. In fact, we expect the warm up to already start tomorrow. That was Thursday. Here's a wide picture to show you that shower activity moving up from the southwest into the western upper peninsula. The way it looks, there won't be much at all, if anything, in the east. That's because of a big area of high pressure. This high pressure system moved in overnight, and that's what gave us the cool start. It'll really dominate over the eastern upper peninsula during the night tonight. Temperatures here cool because of that cloud cover, but back to the west, it's already starting to warm up. Here's the way it looks for tomorrow morning. We look for readings basically in the 50s across the UP, but then watch what happens. By midday, we'll be well up into the 60s, and many spots will get at least to 70 into the 70s during tomorrow. As far as the rain goes, you can see how it moves through, but more or less diminishes as it runs into that high pressure system. By tomorrow morning, we're expecting at least partly to mostly cloudy skies, but watch how the clouds dissipate during the day. Then on Wednesday, a warm front will be approaching. We could see some scattered showers, nothing more than that, and temperatures will be warming up. Here again, our highs expected around 70 close to Lake Michigan because of a strengthening southerly wind, 70s, maybe even some upper 70s over the western UP. We'll take a look at temperatures the rest of the week coming up. Overnight, low temperatures will stay in the 50s out west with clouds and some scattered showers gradually diminishing. Partly cloudy in the east, light and variable winds, so temperatures there will fall into the 40s while it'll stay in the 50s out west. Then for tomorrow, highs around 70 along Lake Michigan, otherwise in the low to mid 70s across the UP. Gradually, any leftover clouds will begin to dissipate. Your TV6 extended forecast. There may be some scattered showers, but look what happens for the first couple of days of the end of the week into the weekend. We should be up into the 80s again with temperatures at night in the summery 60s before we cool off late in the weekend and especially early next week. So summer's not over yet.
No, it's not. And I've noticed actually those trees that were starting to change what we said a little early.
Yes.
Now they're holding on to their greener leaves and the grass is still so green.
Well, eventually they'll fall off, believe
I know.
me. It'll be raking pretty soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Carl. Steve, back to you.
All right, thanks, Sophie. Drivers coming into Escanaba on US 2 from the north will have some minor additional construction to deal with. The outside lane of westbound US 2 will be closed at the railroad overpass near the Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant. The work is being done to address groundwater drainage issues in the area. The closure is expected to last through 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Sophie?
Thanks, Steve. Well, the Lions face the Giants tonight in Monday Night Football play. Seth Wells has the highlights for us, or preview for us, actually, and we have post-game reaction from both Michigan Tech and NMU in their football games this weekend. Your sports is coming up next.
Good evening, everyone. The Michigan Tech football team played host to the 12th ranked Grand Valley State Lakers over the weekend in a game that was broadcasted on ESPN3. The Huskies did come out on the losing end, 42-7. Here's what the Huskies had to say after the game.
You know, things just didn't go the way we wanted to, and we had some times in there where we weren't as focused or mentally as focused as we need to be and as confident as we need to be against a good football team.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to discipline and trusting each other. if we believe in each other and we trust that everyone's going to do their jobs, and we can limit those mistakes. But those happen in the year, and hopefully going forward we have less of those.
So coming into this week, we just gotta bring the energy. I think it was a little dead on the sidelines at times, and we gotta make sure we're backing each other up throughout the whole game. If we're up, we're down, it doesn't matter. We can't step off the gas, and we just got to come back next week and get each other going and be ready for this next game.
The Huskies travel to Saginaw Valley State next weekend and will look to even their record back to 2-2. And the NMU Wildcats also had a very tough game this weekend as they traveled to the second-ranked Ferris State. They lost that one 42-10. Here's what head coach Kyle Nystrom had to say.
Everything they've got is established. Yeah, we played the number 2 team in the country. Not good enough in the first half, but I thought in the second half, I was happy with the way we played. My message to them at halftime was, let's see if we can grow up and look like a real college football team. If we're giving up big plays and, do all the clown act stuff that goes along from the past here. Too much talking on the boundary, not having it. If that's what they did before, I keep telling them we're not doing it now. So I've got to hold them to the fire on that.
Northern plays host to Davenport on Saturday for their first home game of the season, which also happens to be their homecoming game. And the Lions are playing on ESPN's Monday Night Football tonight as they travel to New York to play the Giants. Matthew Stafford and Golden Tate shared their thoughts on playing on Monday nights.
Monday night's fun, but at the same time, it's just another game. Really, more than anything, is you lose some sleep. After the game, you're a little bit later. But no, I mean, it's everybody in this league at some point is going to play in a Monday night game. But as far as the dimensions of the field and all that, it's going to stay the same. So we'll just go play.
I love playing Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night football when you're the only game on. A lot of times, the whole world's watching. You really see what type of player you are, I think. Some rise to the occasion, some don't.
The Lions kick off against the Giants on ESPN around 8:30 tonight. And the Packers may have lost pretty badly last night in Atlanta, yesterday in Atlanta, but quarterback Aaron Rodgers did become the fastest in NFL history to reach 300 career touchdowns and just the 11th NFL quarterback of all time to reach the mark. Rodgers hit the mark last night's game when he connected with Ty Montgomery on a shovel pass in the fourth quarter, and he reached the mark 13 games faster than previous co-record holders Peyton Manning and Dan Marino. There's a lot more sports on our social media sites, including UpperMichiganSource.com and the TV6 mobile app. Sophie and Steve are back with more after the break.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, with thousands still in the dark from Hurricane Irma, Puerto Rico now braces for a direct hit from Hurricane Rita. Also tonight, new details about the 4 American women attacked with acid in France. Again, all of that and much more is on Nightly News right after this broadcast. And finally tonight, Wesley United Methodist Church in Ishpeming is prepping for their annual winter clothing drive. Project Keep Kids Warm is now in its 8th year. Tomorrow, volunteers are needed to help prepare the donation bags that will go out to the houses in the cities and towns of western Marquette County. Following that, residents are encouraged to donate new or gently used winter clothes to be picked up by families in need.
Well, it's all about neighbors helping neighbors, and that's been a huge theme of ours for many, many years. I have never lived in a community that was more generous than this area. That theme resonates, and so why would we do that? Because it's community, because we're all here together. The work begins tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the church. They're looking to make more than 4,000 bags to distribute.